One of the best parts about motorcycle ownership is riding in a city. You can split lanes, see over cars, and just get to where you need to get to, probably a lot quicker than any other mode of transportation, and you look pretty cool doing it too. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to riding a bike in the city. The city has a whole bunch of unique problems that you don't encounter anywhere else, and not only that, they're everywhere, lurking around every corner, looking to ruin your day. So today we're looking at 7 unique dangers that you and your motorcycle face when riding in the city. Now we're going to include a lot of little things that you can do to prevent these dangers, but the best thing you can do for yourself is to carry insurance. Because remember guys, if someone wants to take your bike, they're just going to take it. So remember to click the link down below and check out a free quote from Progressive. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the video, but let's get started with the first danger.
Motorcycle is your pride and joy, and I know if you've got kids, you tell everyone out of one side of your mouth that your kids are really what's important to you, but you don't have to lie to yourself. It's really your motorcycle. You care for this thing, you clean its chain, you change its oil, and you think it's just so darn cool. It's your favorite thing in the world, but here's the problem. Other people think your bike is cool too. Parking downtown, especially on the weekend, leaves your motorcycle open to all sorts of strangers to walk by and check it out. Normally that's fine, it's usually just some other motorcyclist or normie walking by with a good understanding of that one childhood rule of not touching stuff that doesn't belong to them. But every now and again you get someone who wants to sit on your bike. I know, right? It's sacrilege. The thing is that 9 times out of 10, they don't even know it's a problem. They just sit on the bike, take a cool selfie for their Instagram, and walk away. But what happens if that person doesn't remember which side the kickstand is on and accidentally drops it? And then you come out of the coffee shop with your vegan soy latte or whatever the heck hipsters drink, and you see your motorcycle lying on its side with scuffed bearings, bent levers, and who knows what else damage got done to it. But here's the thing, they don't always need to just drop your motorcycle to do damage to it. Let me tell you a little story. You remember that Super Duke we had on the channel a while back? Well, that's owned by a buddy of mine, and he used to park it outside of his office downtown here in Austin. And somebody who was unhinged with a screw loose came by and carved an anarchy symbol in the tail section of his motorcycle for no reason other than he thought it might be fun. So people can just damage your motorcycle just by walking by. So you gotta make sure that you're taking care of your bike before you leave it alone. Make sure you park your motorcycle A, with other motorcycles, B, in a really well-lit area, and C, if you can find it underneath the security camera. These things aren't going to stop damage from happening to your motorcycle, but they will act as a deterrent just in case somebody wants to come by and cause some mischief.
Now, it's not just humans that have it out for your bike, it's cars too. And here in Austin, you can actually park your bike between cars on the parallel parking side of roads. And basically the rule is if you can fit the bike in, you can park it there. But here in Texas, it is the land of the big trucks that don't fit in parking garages and people can barely see over the hoods. I myself own one of those trucks, much to my own chagrin. And it's honestly pretty easy to not see something in front of your truck. And to make matters worse, motorcycles can tip over pretty easily too. It's not just trucks either. It's distracted drivers on cell phones, people who don't check their rear view mirrors before they back up, or just someone who's woken up a bit oblivious this morning and didn't see your motorcycle. If you're lucky, the person will leave a note on your bike, name and contact info so you can get in touch and deal with someone's insurance and get your ride all fixed up. But oftentimes the driver won't even know they hit your bike. Now keep in mind guys, it may feel like a giant affront to you that someone has tipped over your motorcycle and hit it with their car, but most people are decent folks and they probably just made a really unfortunate mistake. You guys gotta remember that cars are designed to be as smooth and as quiet as possible, and it can actually be kind of easy to hit stuff in them nowadays. So here's a few tips to keep your bike safe if you're parking it downtown. Number 1, just like Spite said, park it close to other motorcycles and park it under some bright lights if you can find them. And most important of all, don't park right behind a big truck or an SUV. You're kind of asking to get your bike hit at that point. Now look guys, whether some idiot walks up to your motorcycle and tips it over while he's trying to take a selfie, or if some soccer mom backs up into your ride and damages it, the most important thing you can do is carry insurance on your bike. Progressive is the proud sponsor of this video, but not just because they're supporting the channel, but also because they offer the best value for money when it comes to insurance. Regardless of what happens to your motorcycle, you can be sure that they're gonna cover you from stem to stern. They offer basic liability coverage starting as low as $79 a year, and they'll even throw in $3,000 worth of mod coverage and $500 worth of apparel coverage when you select collision and comprehensive insurance. That means if you go down on your ride and you mess up your exhaust and you need a new helmet or a new jacket, Progressive's gonna have you all stitched up. And remember guys, you can get roadside coverage on your motorcycle for as little as $12 a year, so if that fender bender of yours turned into a bigger problem, well, you're gonna be covered. Click the link down below and get a free quote from Progressive and see how much you can save.
Motorcycle theft is no joke. It happens all the time, including to yours truly. Let me set this scene for you. It's the end of the day and you pulled back into your apartment building. You don't have your own garage, but you have an attached garage building with a bunch of parking spaces, but it's behind a locked gate, so you assume you're fine. You lock your forks, you grab your gear, and you go in for the night. But the next time you come out to ride your motorcycle, it's gone. Look, I don't want to sit here and fearmonger, but let me tell you another story. When my motorcycle was stolen and we were able to recover it, it took the cops 30 minutes to get on site and help us with the recovery process. My riding buddies were there in 5 minutes. Motorcycle theft is so common that the police just don't respond quickly, and they're certainly not going to help you look for it. Now, all that being said, there are a few things that you can do to help protect your motorcycle from thieves. The first thing you need to do is always lock your forks. Yes, they can be easily bypassed on some motorcycles, but it's one level of deterrent that's going to slow a thief down. Second, make sure that you have some sort of immobilizing device, something like a brake lock or a chain that is going to take a while for a thief to get through. Third, if you're parking in the city a lot, you need to install a tracker on your motorcycle. It'll help you track it down, and yes, they really do work. Finally, make sure that you have insurance on your motorcycle. And this is where I need to say that liability will not help you in the case of motorcycle theft. You need to have a comprehensive policy to make sure that you get money back in the case of a theft. When my motorcycle was stolen, Progressive was really great with helping me out, getting my bike back and ready to ride again.
Well, you're not likely to encounter those out on the road, but you are likely to encounter the motorcycling equivalent, which are road hazards. We're talking stuff like potholes, gravel, sand, construction debris, and any other kind of craziness you'll find on city streets that can send you careening off your motorcycle. Now, most potholes are not deep enough to really send you tumbling off your bike. Those are freak occurrences, but we're going to talk about some avoidance strategies to help stay you upright. Now, the first avoidance strategy you should employ when you're looking at potholes or gravel or anything else on the road is to just simply try to avoid it. Scan ahead as far as you can and try to not hit those obstacles. However, if you are in a situation where you're gonna hit one, the first thing you can do, especially for potholes, is just stand up on your bike a little bit. That'll allow your suspension travel to work and you don't have to get absorbed by that impact, and it gets less input on the bars. And that's the second thing you can employ as well. Be light on the bars and let the bike move around. If you're gonna hit something like gravel or sand or something like that, your bike's not gonna immediately tuck the front and crash if you stay nice and light on it. However, that's not the only road hazard you're likely to encounter. All right, so how many times has this happened to you? You're running down your favorite city road, whistling a nice tune in your head, minding your own business, then all of a sudden, a pedestrian walks out right in front of you. You'd think they'd cross at a crosswalk, but you guys know pedestrians, they tend to love to jaywalk, and why cross at a crosswalk? You can just walk across the street. It's like you're playing some kind of carnival shooting game with them, except in this game, you get points for not hitting them. Now, honestly, if someone wants to step out in front of your motorcycle, there's basically nothing you can really do, short of having a super loud exhaust, and maybe they hear you when you're coming down the road, but honestly, between me and you, I don't want to ride a bike around that can wake the dead every time I roll down my local street. So the best thing you can do in this case is avoid them, because maybe if you hit them, depending on where you live, it might actually be your fault. The first thing you'll want to do is to ride on the left-hand side of the lane. That way you have as much space as possible if a pedestrian does try to run out in front of your ride. The second thing you'll want to do is be ready to react. So cover your front brake while you're riding in the city. That way if something does happen, you're ready to pump on it and be ready to stop. The third thing you want to do is scan ahead as far as possible, see if any pedestrians are idling and trying to jump in front of the road in front of you. And that way too, you can look to see if any cars that are parked have their wheels turned and ready to jump in the lane in front of you. It's always active when you're riding in the city. Be scanning and looking ahead as far as you can.
Now, our last two dangers have to deal with intersections. And while you've got intersections out in the sticks too, Downtown, they pose a completely different kind of threat. And the first thing that we're going to talk about are left-turning cars. Now, when a left-turning car passes through an intersection, that means that there's a split second where there's a 2-ton wall right in front of you. Now, it makes it even harder when in busy downtown roadways, you're on an easy-to-miss motorcycle, you might have a car just pop out in front of you out of nowhere. Some things you can do to protect yourself when you're going through an intersection is first to cover your front brake. That is going to reduce your reaction time in the case that you need to come to a panic stop quick, fast, and in a hurry, because you don't want to use that car to drag you to a stop because you're going to go sailing right through a pane of glass. The second thing you can do is make sure you're looking as far ahead as possible. Look into the driver's side window of that car that's trying to turn left, even if they don't have their blinkers on, because if you lock eyes with that person, chances are they're going to see you. You never know though, because you are on a motorcycle and you can be tough to spot. Lastly, approach intersections slowly. There's no point in racing through an intersection just to hit a car. You just want to let them go and go nice and slow and make sure you get to your destination in one piece. Now, assuming all that didn't work and you still find yourself getting into an accident in an intersection, the first and most important thing you got to do is get your butt up out of the road as quickly as possible. You don't want to get hit by a car after you've already hit a car. Don't worry about your motorcycle because chances are there's another car in the intersection blocking traffic for you, so you can just leave it there. Normally, it's pretty cut and dry when it comes to fault if a car pulls out in front of you, assuming you weren't trying to race that yellow light. Just sit back, let Progressive do all this stuff for you. Make sure you get yourself taken care of.
Last up for today, it's running red lights. I'm sure you can imagine how this would be a problem, but I'm gonna paint the scenario for you. Imagine you're sitting through cycles of lights, trying to get through this city traffic. You come across a light, the light is yellow, it's about to turn red. You drop the hammer and you accelerate and you just blast through the light. Most of the times this isn't a big problem because the other cars and vehicles are waiting their turn to go through the light, but sometimes this can cause a very big incident. Now, sometimes if you're the motorcyclist sitting on that other end of the red light and you're waiting your turn, you're right at the front of the line, let's say you filter to the front, even if you get started normally as soon as the light turns green, because you're on a lighter and quicker vehicle, you'll make it through that intersection pretty quickly. And if that other person's barreling through the intersection, you're about to get T-boned, and that's bad for a whole lot of reasons, not the least of which you might get seriously injured. So let's talk avoidance. The first strategy you can implement to avoid the situation is to simply watch the crossing traffic. Most of the times, if you keep an eye on who's coming and who's going, you can see who's got their phones down in their car, who's going a little too fast, and who might actually pass through that red light. It's the best thing you can do. When the light turns green, give yourself a moment to actually go through the light. Just because you have the right of way doesn't mean you're protected from everything, and it's not gonna cost you anything to just wait there for an extra second or two to make sure the coast is clear. Remember guys, it's better to be late than it is to be right and to be dead because you got T-boned in an intersection. And remember to keep all your insurance information on you as well, just in case. All right guys, those are just some of the strategies you can employ to keep yourself safe when you're riding in the city. Remember, the most important thing you can do is to ride defensively and to ride actively so that you can prevent any incidents from happening to you when you're on your motorcycle. If something should happen to you, make sure you have the right coverage. Click the link down below to Progressive, get yourself a free quote. Thanks again for them for sponsoring today's video. They're a proud partner of the channel, and we could not be more grateful for the support that they provide. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later. You've made it to the end of a Yammie Noob video. Did you like what you saw? Do you want to see more of it? Check it out, right here, just like magic, waiting for you. Click this little square right here. More memes, more Yammie, more of my face. Isn't that great?